How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about quite a bit. I've not been able to make videos for about a day and a half because of a tornado that hit here in Tennessee on Easter Sunday night. We're all good in the house. Everything's fine. My neighborhood's a mess, but we're good. We got power back after about a day and some change. And there's a lot on my mind, so I'll leave that right there for now. Let's talk about Joe Biden basically becoming a nominee for the Democratic Party. He's not officially become a nominee, but he pretty much is because Bernie Sanders went ahead and dropped out. Now, I called this a while ago. I knew that it would be Creepy Joe as a nominee, and I knew that Bernie would do okay in the primary, but ultimately he dropped out and then he endorsed Joe Biden. Now, I did not think he'd drop out and endorse him right away, but then again, I can't be surprised. This is similar to what happened 4 years ago in 2016 when Hillary Clinton was basically robbing him every primary election. Bernie drops out, and then Bernie goes ahead and endorses Hillary Clinton. Although Bernie Sanders purports himself to be the opposite of Hillary Clinton, the opposite of a Joe Biden, he goes ahead and endorses him anyway. Now, I'm seeing the reactions on Twitter. They're hilarious. The Bernie bros are losing their mind. They're burning the Bernie shirts up. They're going on camera, screaming into the camera. It's a big, crazy mess, but I predicted it. I am not surprised. And for him to endorse Joe Biden is just how the Democratic Party operates. This is how Bernie Sanders operates. He purports himself to be independent. He's listed as an independent, but he behaves as a Democrat. This is what Democrats do. They go out there in the campaign trail, talk about how much they hate this guy, hate that guy. But when it comes down to it, they're going to ride with the ship. So anybody talking about, oh, Bernie's anti-establishment, he's different from the Democratic Party, I can't tell where. How was he any different? I see no difference at all. I see the exact same thing that everybody else in the Democratic Party did, from Pete Buttigieg to Amy Klobuchar to Andrew Yang Gang. They all have placed their support behind one Joe Biden. Matter of fact, Bernie Sanders even did a live stream with Joe Biden when he said that he was going to endorse him, which was crazy, a cringe-filled mess. Anybody that wants Joe Biden to run should be ashamed of themselves. You see this man with your own two eyes, you know something ain't right. You know he's not all the way there. It's not even cool. It's not funny. It's not something to even be, laughing, joking. The guy is not well. He's ill. And every time, not just sometimes, not just an occasional slip or a gaffe. These ain't gaffes. Every time you see this man, he's not all the way there. A gaffe is when you say a thing people get offended by, and you got to come back later and say, oh, I didn't really mean it that way. My apologies. I love the LGBTQ, ABCDEFG community. You got to say something like that when you make a quote unquote gaffe. What's happening right now are not gaffes. They're not stuttering. There's none of that. What's happening is cognitive decline, and we can all see it. In the live stream, there was a clear example of that.
That's another issue. But we're going to finally achieve comprehensive immigration reform as well, put millions of citizens on a pathway to citizenship, including so many who are in the front lines right now.
How are you going to have citizens be on a pathway to citizenship? He says things like that all the time. This is not the first time or the second time or the third time. It's like 1,000th time he said things like this or done things like this on the campaign trail because he's not all the way there. It's really a shame. Now, after everybody in the Democratic Party has endorsed Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders drops out to endorse Joe Biden officially with a live stream, Barack Obama throws his name in the hat as one of the guys that have now endorsed Joe Biden. Now, the elephant in the room, the $1 trillion question is, Barack Obama, where have you been this whole time? This man could have, really used your help when he was out there trying to campaign before this whole virus kerfuffle took over, and he's not been able to campaign out on the trail. He could have used your help. You could have said a few things positive about him in some of these interviews you've been doing. I know you and your wife got the whole Netflix thing cracking, and that's fine. That's great. Congratulations. Shout out to you. But at a certain point, you could have said, hey, my former vice president for 8 years, 2 terms, Joe Biden is running for president, and I support him. I like him. Now, his quote unquote official stance is that he would not endorse anyone until the primary is over with. But I mean, this is kind of an important election, yes? Joe Biden is the guy that's been the guy for a long time. You should go ahead and endorse him. If the objective is to keep the House, flip the Senate, and of course take the executive branch, the presidency, then you got to do whatever you can to make that happen. Not wait until the 0 hour when nobody else is running. If Bernie were still in the race, it doesn't really matter if he were 1 point behind or 20 points behind. I think Barack Obama would not have endorsed Joe Biden until the very end, until like after the convention. Okay. If it goes to a contested convention, I think at that point, after the convention, that'll be when Barack Obama would endorse Joe Biden. And why, do you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. That's a great question. The reason why is because Barack Obama knows what's going on. Barack Obama may be a lot of things that we don't like. He may be kind of a far leftist. He may be kind of a stooge for the deep state, whatever you want to say, and that's fine. But one thing I'm not going to say is that he's a total moron. He can look at a person and see decline mentally and physically. Anybody can see it, so can he, especially Barack Obama, because like I said, he was in the White House with Joe Biden for 8 years when Joe Biden was the vice president. So you're around him a lot. You're able to see him up close and personal for 8 years. You know this man, whether you're friendly or not, whether you go to each other's houses and hang out and play part cheese or whatever, that's a different story. But you're around him enough to understand what kind of person he is, what kind of temperament he has, and if he's having a bad day or a good day. You know that. So when you see him out there on the campaign trail, barely able to get from point A to point B, doesn't really know what's going on, always says the wrong things, totally out of context, appears to be having some serious mental problems, you can see that. So why would you go ahead and put your support behind that man? You know, he did it now because there's nobody else running. And if he doesn't do it, it makes him look bad. Barack Obama, that is. It'll make Barack Obama look bad because it's like, okay, you're not honoring your legacy. You're not supporting another Democrat. It'll make him look bad in D.C. because, be clear, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, they still wouldn't be in D.C. making things happen. So this is more of a PR move. If it did not come to the endorsement hurting or helping Barack Obama, he wouldn't do it. If it didn't hurt him, he just wouldn't do it. Okay? But since it would hurt him to not do it, then he does. You understand what I'm saying? Hopefully that makes sense. So I don't really see a lot of enthusiasm from anybody that is endorsing Joe Biden because they all know what we know, that he's not really capable of being the president. And it's a shame. You know, I'd rather have Bernie Sanders in there because Bernie, a far leftist, a communist, a nut job, crazy. And he's also physically not really well, had a heart attack at age 78, but I digress. I'd rather have Bernie Sanders in there because at least he is somewhat mentally sound. He is still relatively sharp to be 78 years old, much sharper than Joe Biden, obviously. So once he gets into a debate with Donald Trump, he can at least hold his own and Bernie Sanders. But with Joe Biden, I mean, Trump can come out there and say what he said recently in response to a question about a tweet from Joe Biden's account. You know, some negative stuff that a reporter was saying that Joe Biden tweeted. Trump was like, look, he didn't write that. He doesn't tweet. He has Democratic operatives to do that for him. He's not even really watching this press briefing right now. And if he is watching, he doesn't understand what's going on. He came at it from a realistic point of view, as in talking about Joe Biden's cognitive decline, but also not even from a humorous point of view. He's not trying to poke fun. He's just being real. And that's what we all should do. So as I close, I want to say this. The Bernie Sanders endorsement, the Barack Obama endorsement, it does not matter. You can have everybody in the world that matters on the left endorse this man. It's not going to make a difference. You still got to go out there and campaign. You still got to do debates. You still have to speak to people. He's not been able to do that very well. His track record is really spotty with the crime bill. And then in the 70s being against integration. Things like that are going to come back to haunt him, as well as what's going on right now, which is a man that is in mental decline. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about Barack Obama and Bernie Sanders endorsing Joe Biden. And by the way, the Barack Obama endorsement was like 12 minutes long. If you want to see that, I'll link to it in the box. It was long. But what do you feel about that? Will it make a difference? How do you feel about Barack Obama coming so late to the game to endorse his quote unquote friend in Joe Biden? Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.